Hello and welcome back to the channel. Tonight we are back with some questions and answers. So it's been a minute since we've done one of these. We used to do them like once every 4 to 6 weeks, but it's been a while. And so we had several requests. I always have a running list of questions that get asked from you, and I love to be able to answer them on camera because chances are if you had the question, somebody else had the question, whether they knew they did or they didn't know they did and they just didn't ask or whatever. So tonight we are going to be diving into some questions and answers on all things. There's really nothing off limits. And if you have any questions, feel free to type them down in the comments, whether you are watching live with us right now or whether you are watching the replay. I do look at the comments, and if your question doesn't get answered tonight, I will jot it down, and I will do my best to answer it in one of our upcoming Q&As. So I am an open book. I have a whole list, pages of questions. We're not going to get to all of them, but we will get to as many as we can in the next 15-ish minutes. So let's go ahead and dive in. And some of y'all, I always say I'm an open book and nothing's off limit. And some of y'all took me up on that. So, all right, let's just go right down the list. Our first question: was your husband supportive when it came to you losing weight? So I'm going to answer that a couple different ways. First off, yes, he was supportive in the fact of he didn't care that I ordered product. He didn't care that I spent money on product. He didn't care. He supported my choice to buy products, to hire a coach, if you will. He supported that. Now, if you're talking about support in the fact of he did it with me, or he quit eating junk food or quit buying junk food, no. This was my weight loss journey. He was never as overweight as I was. At the peak of his overweightness, he only had about 50 pounds to lose, where I had, 160 pounds to lose. So he actually did start working out with me, and then he quit, as we always had done before. But even when he worked out, he didn't really change his meals. He was still a fourth meal kind of guy. He was still, junk food, popcorn at the theater, burgers, fries, chips, all the things. And even in front of me, and he would, so many times we'd be sitting there at the theater, right? And I'm like, all right, I'm going to lose weight. I'm not going to have that buttery popcorn. I'm going to choose to eat according to my goals. And he would just, and it wasn't out of like spite or, it was just out of being considerate. He'd be like, hey, do you want some popcorn? And I wanted to take the popcorn bucket and jump it over his head, because I was like, of course I want some popcorn. But no, it doesn't align with my goals. Don't ask me. So it was one of those things that I had to remind myself that just because I chose to get healthy didn't mean that because I was choosing to eat these things, he could still eat whatever he wanted. And so, and along the way, he eventually got more on board. He eventually started working out with me. Now, this was a year in. I had already lost all my weight. I had went from a size 22 down to a 2. And at that point, he got back on board, and he was like, all right, I'm going to do this too. And today he's lost 50 pounds. He's in amazing shape. He actually works out more than I do. But that came from just accepting him where he was and not pressuring him. And that brings us to literally the next question on the list is, how do you handle someone who still eats junk when you're trying to eat healthy? You realize that, listen, the world does not get the memo when you decide to lose weight. So just because you're making different decisions to get healthy, you can't expect your spouse or your kids or your coworkers or your extended family to also do the same thing. And for me to expect my husband to eat the celery and not the cheesecake, that's an unrealistic, that's not a fair expectation. I'm making my choices and he can make his choices. And it's not my place to judge him for his choices. Why? Because he didn't judge me for my choices when I was 288 pounds. He let me come to my own decision to get healthy in my own time. And I had to give him the same respect that he gave me with that. And you're never going to nag somebody or pressure somebody into making changes. It's got to be something they do. Otherwise, it causes contention, it causes fights, it causes resentment and bitterness and all of those things. And so I would say coming to the realization that, no, this is my choice. This is my journey. Whatever he eats is on him, and whatever I eat is on me. And I looked at it as a moment to grow, as a moment to build my willpower muscle, as a moment to resist temptation versus give in. Because the truth is, most of us that struggle with our weight, we struggle because we allow all of our circumstances, the people around us, the holidays, the birthdays to dictate our goals. And we've really got to get to the point where we can still eat according to our goals with all those things. So that's what I would say. All right. Next question. What did you do for clothes while you were losing weight? So I lost 161 pounds in 13 months. I went from a size 22 down to a size 2. And with that, obviously, none of the clothes that I had fit me when I was done. And so couple different things, the way I looked at it is I started at a size 22. I wasn't sure where I was going to end up. So I didn't know if it was going to be an 8 or a 6. I certainly didn't think it was going to be a 4 or a 2. And so I knew that all those sizes in between, let's just say a size 6, I was just passing by. I wasn't stopping. I wasn't staying. So when I got into a 20, when I got into an 18, when I got into a 16, I wasn't going to be in that 16 long. I was passing through the 16s and I was on my way to the 14s. So I only needed enough to hold me over. I only needed enough, like literally, I would get like 2 pairs of yoga pants, workout pants from Old Navy. I'd get 1 pair of jeans, a couple tops, and that's it. Some of my tops I can cut. I can turn into dresses, because when you lose weight, your tops can turn into dresses. And, whatever, you can tie a shirt that's oversized. You can knot it, like a little low knot. And so I literally, for me, it was going to places like consignment stores, thrift stores, Goodwill, and Old Navy was always where I got my workout pants. They have sales all the time, 40, 50% off. Their bootleg yoga pants were like my best friend. I got them for like $9 back then when it was 50% off. And for me, I would go to a consignment store called Uptown Cheapskate. I would get some shirts and 1 or 2 pairs of jeans. And then when I was done, I would go consign them back. I would go sell them back to them and then get the next size. And I literally got away as cheap as I could. When it came to bras, like I found this $5, $6 bra at Walmart that was pretty, and it, wasn't the highest quality bra, but I wasn't going to be staying in it. My boobs did not need a bougie bra that I was just passing through. Underwear, like literally finding the cheapest underwear that wasn't like super uncomfortable. I didn't need $6 underwear. I found Walmart had some $2 underwear that was actually really cute, really comfortable. And so I got away with as little as possible until I got to my goal. And then the thing is when I got to my goal, I set a shopping budget for when I got there. Now I did try on clothes. Trying on clothes is different than buying clothes. So trying on clothes kept me motivated as I went from size to size to size into new territory. It was kind of thrilling, every month to go to Old Navy because we had an Old Navy not far from us. But I would leave my wallet in the car. Like I refused to go to the store and buy new stuff. I saved all that money until I was done. And then I had my budget for when I was done to buy a whole new wardrobe because none of my clothes were going to fit me. So anyway, next question. What do you think about intermittent fasting? So I am a fan of intermittent fasting. When I work with a client, when it comes to weight loss, I always start everybody off on a 12-hour eating window, which means if your first meal is at 7 a.m., you have to be done eating by 7 p.m. And so they fast for 12 hours and then they eat all their calories, all their macros, all their containers within 12 hours. So that's where people start. Now, that's where I started, by the way, 12 hours. Most times today, I will do either 10 or 8 hour eating window. And I will fast the other hours. So the only thing I will have inside of there is like 0 calorie tea, water, you know, stuff like that. But I won't have any food. I'll eat all of my food either within 10 hours or 8 hours, just depending on the schedule, depending on our travel, depending on all of that. But I definitely believe I love intermittent fasting. I feel better. I feel lighter. I don't feel heavy. I just, when we're on vacation and I eat for 14 hours, 16 hours, 18 hours, my energy level plummets. I don't sleep as well. And so I definitely, whatever your feeding and fasting window is, for sure. And if you're just a beginner and you don't know all the science and studies behind intermittent fasting, you can just start with 12 hours eating, 12 hours not. And during those 12 hours where you're not, you're drinking water, tea, anything, you know, 0 calorie that's not going to break that fasting window. It's a really great place to start. And after you master that, then you can go to 11 hours or 10 hours, right? And then if, you know, 8 hours, there's some people that are crazy, in my opinion, and their feeding window is like 2 hours and they fast for 22 hours. I have no desire to do that, but those that do, that's freaking fantastic and good for them. So that's kind of, I'm a fan of intermittent fasting, totally a fan of it. All right, next question. Did your sex life change after losing weight? Yes. There's no way it couldn't have. And, you know, I would have told you that we had a pretty decent, healthy sex life before I lost weight. But, you know, being in a size 22, 288 pounds, my husband 50 pounds overweight, you know, just imagine the anatomy of it. Some positions they just didn't work. The connection was not possible. Okay. We tried. And I was always self-conscious. I was always fearful of, you know, he'd want to do this or he'd want to do that. And I'm like, I don't know if everything's going to fit, if everything's going to, you know, and there were times when it just didn't. And I knew that it was because of extra weight. Like I knew that, right? And so, you know, but I never allowed myself, even though I was self-conscious, to not try. But oh my goodness. Yes. First off, I had more energy. I felt more comfortable and confident in my own skin. And part of, I believe, having a good sex life with your spouse is feeling good in your own skin. Because no matter how fit or skinny or small you are, if you are not confident, if you don't love yourself, you're not going to feel confident being naked, walking around, doing different positions, all of that. And it's not to say that I have a perfect body now. Clearly, you know, I've had 3 kids. I was morbidly obese for more than a decade. So there's proof of that on my body. However, I'm way more confident in myself. I love myself. I can look in the mirror and be like, you know what? These stretch marks, they're a part of me. They made me who I was. I'm not ashamed of them. And so it totally has changed our sex life. We can do positions that we never could before. Confidence has increased. Yeah, it's much more enjoyable. But yes, it absolutely changed it for men and women. Losing weight will actually even change the look of your private parts. For men, when they gain weight, they lose real estate down there. When they lose weight, they gain real estate, if you will. For women, having more, you know, fluff down there, it changes the way everything looks. I believe it can change sensation as well. It's just kind of crazy. So yes, all the things. So when you just have more energy to go at it, if you will. So, all right, next question. All right. Do you meal prep, and how do you handle this with the family and kids when it comes to eating? So for me, our kids eat what we eat. I don't eat one thing, my husband eats another, and our kids eat another. I make dinner, and this is not a restaurant, so I don't take orders, and I make dinner, and everybody eats the same thing. And so our kids, from the time they were little, we exposed them to all different types of cuisines. So no matter what kind of situation they were in, they could find something to eat. And so, sorry about that. I am moving my camera. So we introduce our kids to all different types of cuisines from the time they were little. So they're not picky. They eat they eat pretty much almost anything. And there's things that they don't prefer. Like my son doesn't prefer zoodles, which is zucchini noodles. He doesn't prefer spaghetti squash. He does like palm of heart noodles, but he will eat zoodles even though it's not his favorite. So there's things that I make that isn't necessarily their favorite, but they still eat it, if that makes sense. And so, yeah, so that is how I would recommend doing it. Again, if you're eating healthy and your kids are eating junk, I believe, like, I never used to like healthy food. And it's because I didn't grow up with it. I didn't eat it. So I just thought I didn't like it. So, like, part of the reason my kids love healthy food is because they've grown up with it, right? If your kid is used to processed foods and they don't like carrots, it's because they don't like vegetables. And yes, all kids go through a time when they don't love vegetables and they don't want vegetables. But that's our job as parents to make sure they know why vegetables are important. It's going to give them more energy. It's going to keep them strong. It's going to help them develop. It's going to, it's got all the healthy things they need in it to be able to fully play and be healthy, not be sick in bed and all of that. And so that my kids know that even though there's sometimes they would rather have cheese bread or pizza. Pizza's great in balance. And again, even though we're a healthy household, my kids still get candy and chocolate and popcorn. Everything's in balance. Healthy 80% of the time, junk 20% of the time. Your favorite, cheeseburger, pizza, all of the things. And so we've passed that on to our kids as well. We've taught them balance. And so they eat healthy food 80% of the time, junk 20% of the time. But as a whole, we eat all the same things as a family. So, all right, we have time for a couple more questions. Let's go ahead and there's such good questions on here. Like we could literally sit here and answer questions for a couple hours. Let me know, by the way, in the comments, do you enjoy the Q&As? We always have people message us about them when we don't do them. They're like, hey, when are you going to do that? Next question. Carmen, I saw some videos where you were a blonde. How long were you blonde and why aren't you anymore? So yes, I was blonde. This is my natural hair color. I went blonde. I had highlights and then it went platinum. And long story short, my hairdresser did some overlapping of color. And I would say 70% of my hair broke off like right here. So extensions, and it was awful. And I wound up chopping all my hair off. Like literally, I think I cut it to about here one year. And it was so thin. It looked like I had went through, some kind of cancer treatment or something because it was just so thin, so damaged. And so I went back brown, and I've always said one day I'll go back blonde, but I haven't yet. So yes, I was blonde, all different shades of blonde, platinum blonde, and I loved it. My husband loved it. I see pictures and I'm like, oh, I do love my brown hair as well. I love both. If I just need to, if they ever create something where you can an app on your phone where you can just change your hair color, wouldn't that be awesome? All right, last question. What supplement did you take to get your hair back healthy? Lots of hair questions. You guys are very perceptive. So there's a couple different supplements that I take. I take a pre-workout, which is a pre-workout that I take. I take a post-workout filled with protein, things to help my muscles recover. I drink like a protein superfood shake every single day. It's got over 70 different vitamins and minerals and things in it. And then besides those things, the only other thing that I do take is collagen supplement. And this is Skin and Nails. It's a collagen boost. It has got 10 calories, 2 grams of protein, and 2.5 grams of hydrolyzed collagen peptides. And there's a month's supply inside of here. So this is the collagen that I take. It's tasteless, it's odorless, it's colorless. You take a scoop, you can put it in water, you can put it in tea. I put it in my superfood shake that I take. And so collagen, I have felt a difference, not only in my hair texture, but my hair. I used to have to wash my hair like every single day. And collagen, I only wash my hair now twice a week. My skin, after my third baby, I had rosacea on my cheeks where it was super red and really bumpy. The collagen really helped with that. And just, skin overall, I've noticed a difference since taking the collagen. So I highly recommend collagen. This one's from the company Body. And yeah, it's where I choose to get it. It's my favorite one that I like. And so, yeah. And I do believe in supplementation. I don't think our foods have all the vitamins and nutrients that we need. And so I believe supplementation helps with, skin, hair. It helps with, if you're losing weight. I believe the supplements that I took were one of the reasons why I didn't end up with a bunch of loose skin when I was done. I didn't lose all my hair. I didn't have any teeth breaking or anything like that, was because even while I was losing weight, even while I was in a calorie deficit, even while I was working out, even through that third pregnancy, all of that, I was taking good supplementation the entire time. So it kept me strong, it kept me healthy, it kept all those things, even while I was putting my body through, all these changes of losing a whole entire person. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. We will be back next week live, same time, same place. We're going to be starting a two-part series, 100 calorie snacks. So I'm literally going through an entire list of 100 calorie snacks, quick, easy, simple, delicious, some hot, some cold, different quantities, but 100 calorie snacks coming at you next week. So we will see you then.